Okay guys, welcome back to the last video. This is going to be on the brain for your last lab exam. We're going to start here with the cerebral cortex, okay? The very outside of the brain, that's all of that gray matter, okay? Here you have the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe on top, temporal lobe right here, as well as right here, and then in the back you have the occipital lobe, okay? Same thing as your bones. Okay, now, starting here, we have that central sulcus, right? You have all these sulcus, and these ridges are gyri. This important one is central sulcus. It divides the frontal and parietal lobes. Now, here we have that precentral gyrus, or the primary motor cortex, right here, right before the central sulcus. Here's the motor association area. After the central sulcus, we have the primary somatosensory cortex, okay? So right after is the postcentral gyrus, or primary somatosensory cortex. And here, somatosensory association area. Now, again, we have our temporal lobe here, we have that lateral sulcus, and in between the cerebellum and the cerebral cortex, we have the transverse sulcus, okay? Dividing both hemispheres directly down in the middle is the longitudinal fissure, okay? It's a deep cut, so it's a fissure. Alrighty? Opening up the brain, starting with the cerebellum. Cerebellum goes in like this. We have, again, like the brain itself, two lobes, alright? The folds on this one, similar to the gyri on the main brain, are called folia. Okay, so all these folds are called folia. Where the two cerebellums connect, that's the vermis. Okay, with the V, the vermis. When you open them, you have all this white stuff, the tree of life. That's arbor vitae. Okay, that's your arbor vitae, all this white stuff. So cerebellum, vermis is in the middle, folia, arbor vitae. That'll do it for the cerebellum. Now, going back here, if we pry open the temporal and parietal lobe, you see this insula right in the middle, okay? We can take it out here, and you can see how it's right here, okay? It will be difficult to see on the real sheep brains, so it's much easier seeing here. Now, going back to the main stuff here, again, cerebral cortex, all this gray matter is on top. The white matter will be deep to that. Right here, you have the biggest commissure. All right? So commissure, the brain talking from one hemisphere to the other. Okay? This is called the corpus callosum. Okay? Directly superior to that is the cingulate gyrus. Okay? So it goes cingulate gyrus, then corpus callosum is inferior to that. Right here, the cavity or empty space is the lateral ventricle. It'll be identical in both sides. Same thing here, lateral ventricle. The membrane dividing both lateral ventricles is called the septum pellucidum. So if the professor puts a pin there and asks for the cavity, it's going to be lateral ventricle. If he puts a pin there and asks for the membrane, it's going to be septum pellucidum. Okay? The floor of the lateral ventricles is called the fornix. So that's right here. Then you can see right here, that and that bulb. Those two anterior and posterior commissures. Similar to the corpus callosum, but much smaller. Anterior, posterior commissures. Again, that's how the two hemispheres speak to each other. Okay? This right here, egg-shaped, you have on both sides as well. Thalamus. Okay? And right in the middle of that is the interthalamic adhesion. So thalamus, interthalamic adhesion. Right here to the anterior portion, we have the hypothalamus. Okay, so hypothalamus will be this general area. We should be having an infundibulum here. It's cut off in our model. So the infundibulum should be right here, and then hanging off of it would be the pituitary gland. You'll have it on your models. Okay, so hypothalamus, infundibulum, and pituitary, major part of the endocrine system. Okay, so back here, thalamus, interthalamic adhesion, epithalamus, consists of that little pineal gland, okay? Has to do with melatonin, right? Your sleep-wake cycle. So you have that posterior commissure and then the pineal gland, okay? That's that. This red stuff, that's all the choroid plexus, cerebrospinal fluid filled with epididymal cells, okay? Secretes cerebrospinal fluid, has microvilli that moves cerebrospinal fluid from one ventricle to the other. Next, cerebral aqueduct, okay? That's the road in between the third and fourth ventricle. Third ventricle should be somewhere around here. Difficult to see, it's just a general area. But this is the cerebral aqueduct, and right here is the fourth ventricle. Okay? We're already getting into the brain stem. So this big bulb right here is the pons. Okay? Directly below that, the medulla oblongata. Alright? Going back here, right below the pineal gland, if you look at it from here, it's these two. If you look at it from a posterior view, you have superior and the inferior colliculi of the corpora quadrigemina. Okay? Superior and inferior colliculi of the corpora quadrigemina, right below the pineal gland. Okay? So, we went over the pons, went over the medulla oblongata. Now we're going to do the 12 cranial nerves that you need to know here. Okay? Starting off with olfactory. Right here, you have the olfactory bulb and olfactory tract. Cranial nerve number 1. Optic, number 2, is right here. Number 3, right there. Okay? Ocular motor. Now you have to kind of push this away to see number 4. That's it right there. Okay? That line, that's cranial nerve number 4. Okay? Now, jumping from here, you go to this bigger bump. That's cranial nerve number 5. Okay? Trigamental. 5. From here, you have to jump all the way here. 6, then go in order. 6, 7, 8. This tiny one right here, that's 9. 10 is right below that. 11 is right here, and that's 12. Okay? We're going to do that again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is this little end, 10 is the other end, this whole thing is 11, and jumping up here is 12. Okay? So, going back here, we have the mammillary body. Okay? And very last thing, when we connect both of the hemispheres, you see that crisscross, right? That's the optic chiasma. Okay? So you're supposed to have that infundibulum and the pituitary gland right there. Optic chiasma is right here. Infundibulum, pituitary gland. You see both of those mammillary bodies right next to the third cranial nerve. Okay? So looking at it from this one with no labels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that'll be it for the brain.